I'm Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John sitting here in front of me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? All right.
Peachy.
Joe Hazen rocking the panels. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. We do not have Jackie Molecules, although he's listening.
Sir.
He's listening and coordinating, but he can't actually speak on the phone right now, so we can't talk about him like a dog, which is kind of unfortunate because, when people aren't on, we like to talk smack. You know what I mean?
True.
But we can't. Not that I have smack.
We shouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But we do have, thankfully, Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. How you doing, Stas?
I'm good.
Yeah. And upper left, Quinn. How you doing?
Hey, good.
The Q Dragon. All right. So we do not have a. By the way, do we have a guest next week?
Oh, we got a real fun episode next week.
What?
We have two mythical chef Josh from YouTube and Ariel Johnson, both.
How's that working?
They're all in my house.
Don't you worry about the details, Dave. It's just going to happen, okay?
They're all going to be at my house.
Oh, wait, so it's all not live? So it's going to be one of those things where I can't see their faces and it's going to be a nightmare and I don't know if I'm stepping on them and all this stuff?
We're going to try to figure that out. Put them on a Zoom.
Put them on a Zoom. All right. Yeah. All right. All right, what do you guys got for me this week? What's going on? What be happening?
What be happening?
I see you brought us some chocolates.
I did. I brought some chocolates.
While we're waiting for other people.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about these chocolates, John?
So these
by the way, if you are listening on the Patreon, even though you probably aren't because it's not our normal day, we were recording on a Wednesday because yesterday I was in San Antonio. Do you have to be from Texas to call it San Antone? I call it San Antonio. I'm not going to be like San Antone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it. Does anyone even say that? Is that even real?
I don't know. Maybe it's got to be.
I mean, otherwise, why would we have heard it if it's not even a little bit real?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, best Uber driver stories I've ever had any place I've ever been. One Uber driver, both her parents flew with Chenault, the Flying Tigers guy, and with the Chinese National Army after World War II. She was also a pilot. Her mom was a UN doctor, and the dad was in and out of the Air Force. Flying with the Flying Tigers logo. The dad was in the early 40s, in the original Flying Tigers before we got into the war. And I was like, what do you think about all these kids wearing the Flying Tigers logo on their backpacks? They don't even know that there were two world wars, much less one. She was like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? She had met Madam Chiang Kai-shek. How messed up is that?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, nutty, huh?
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, Uber driver, Another Uber driver. Get this. Swear to God, I was there for 24 hours maybe on the dot, right? 24 hours. Another Uber driver had skied for Bulgaria in the Olympics.
It's crazy.
and her son did gymnastics for Bulgaria. And I'm like, what are you doing in Texas? Because she'd lived all over the world. She's like, best gymnastics coaches in Texas. And she didn't talk like that because she's Bulgarian. And I tried to bait her with a little bit of Bulgarian chauvinism. I was like, I used to have a studio mate from Bulgaria. And he said that everyone else's feta was garbage and only Bulgarian feta is worth anything. And she was like, that's not true. Many countries have good feta. I was like, damn. So not a trash talker, huh? You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Just crazy Uber driver story after crazy Uber driver story. Good town to get an Uber. Yeah. Not like Florida where they don't have front plates. Is it Florida where they don't force you to have plates on the front of your car? The worst. So you can tell it's your car once it's past you. Oh, that was my car. There was one place I flew. I think I talked about this on air. Maybe it was Florida, where Uber rents out cars to the Uber drivers, and they're all white Teslas. So you're at the airport, and there is a fleet of white Teslas coming at you. How the hell are you supposed to know which one's your car? Come on, man. Get with it. Front plates. All right. What else you got? Also in the news, I don't know if you guys remember this from such times as last time we had a show, but I mentioned that, or Nastasia mentioned that her Christmas time, Megillah, that she appreciates food-wise, is tamales. And her mom, swear to God, packed me. First of all, I think, Nastasia, your mom must own stock in a Styrofoam Tray Corporation because that package, your mom uses Styrofoam like deli trays as like their like they're packing peanuts. It was amazing. But she sends me a bag of Meyer lemons, a bag of Eurekas, which is the style we normally get, Eureka lemons, and then like both kinds of tamales, as Nastasia had said, one with the bow and one not with a bow, not with like a grosgrain bow, like she slices one of the husks down and ties it in a little bow to signify. I don't remember, is bow is beef only or bow is beef pork?
I think bow is beef and no bow is pork.
No bow is pork. And in three to a zippy, individual zippies, so that you could steam individual zippies if that was your inclination, which is what I did because I have the Innova steam oven. Makes it easy. Innova steam oven makes your tamales easy because you don't have to fire up a steamer for it, or nuke it as Nastasia does. Whatever. Delicious. And Nastasia, I'm sure you hate everyone else's tamales because the meat ratio on these mothers was intense. You know what I'm saying? It was like your mom tries to figure out like what's the thinnest skin of masa around the meat tube that she can make. I appreciate it. It was delicious. And she sent me 2 kinds of Cholula, the red and the green. Now, guess which one? What'd you say?
Pork. You didn't get any of the pork with green sauce ones.
Well, I put a lot of Cholula green sauce on it, so
yeah.
Which is your favorite Cholula?
The red.
Oh yeah. I like the green, and they're both good. I like the green. I have to say that, and people are going to hate me for this, but Tabasco's okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just because I grew up with it. It was like everywhere. It's not like.
Yeah, just doesn't do it.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, if you put like a bevy of hot sauces in front of me, I'm not like, ooh, I'm going for Avery Island. And not just because, the folks over at Avery Island did all sorts of skullduggery to, crush anyone who tried to use the word Tabasco, even though it's the name of a pepper. It's like trademarking the word New Jersey. You shouldn't be able to do it. You know what I mean? It should be illegal. They paid off all of these judges in Louisiana, which is, I guess, a time-honored tradition to pay off judges in Louisiana. But it's, whatever. It's just a whatever. It's whatever. It's good, but whatever. Is anyone, John's with me anymore. What do you think, Joe? Where are you on Tabasco?
I'm not into hot sauce. It doesn't like me.
No?
No, and I'm not the... Now, forgive me. Tabasco is very heavily vinegar-based, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like vinegar.
Oh, so Tabasco's a double no for you.
Yeah, not into it. I do like the Cholula. I like the green. But I love spicy things, but it just doesn't like me, and then I just can't do it because I suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily,
Say no more.
I'm at the point where I just put an unconscionable amount of this stuff on everything. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I just don't enjoy eating a lot of things without a little bitty zippity doodah. You know what I mean? Sometimes I
do that with black pepper.
Really? Oh, I love the black pepper. I love me some black pepper. Do you know what happens when someone gives me a steak and there's no pepper? I'm just like, that's like, or someone gives me pizza and I don't have crushed red. I'm like, I just don't enjoy it. I just don't want it. It doesn't mean that it makes it better. It's just that's the way I want it. Aren't I old enough to want something the way I want it?
I think that's fair.
Yeah. You know who the first person I was like, you know what? You have it however. Someone who, Nastasia, you remember this. Who do you know who I'm talking about? Someone who.
I think we all know this story.
What, Ches?
Listeners, yeah.
Yeah, Cesare. He wants his, doesn't matter. Champagne doesn't matter how much it costs. He wants a freaking ice cube in that thing. And I'm like, you know what, Cesare? God bless. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want it the way you want it.
Yeah.
I think you've earned it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway. So thank your mom for me, Nastasia. Now, Nastasia said, I think we agree on this. The flavor of Meyer lemons, who cares? It's the aroma. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they smell real good. But you know what I should do? Because I still have a couple. I should measure the acidity of those suckers. I don't really have the time to do it, but like break out the titration setup again and do some titrations. But I really should titrate that thing and see what the acidity level is. Anyway. What do you got? You got anything?
Curious about the lemons.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say I'm sure I have had a Myers lemon, but I've had many lemons because I love lemons. I love the taste of lemons. And when you get like some of these like Italian lemon drinks, and it says, it's obviously, it's carbonated water, maybe it's some type of sugar and like lemon.
Right. Like the limonata, like Pellegrino.
The Pellegrino it's not exactly the Galavina.
I don't know.
Have you had Galavina in a bottle?
No.
The lemon itself has got this almost like nuttiness to it. That's phenomenal. And I can't, it almost like a nuttiness. Maybe it's not nuttiness. Like there's an aftertaste that you get from sarsaparilla.
Oh, I like sarsaparilla.
You know that's a weird little thing on your tongue that you get. Some lemon drinks do this to me, and I don't know if it's me or is it the beverage itself. But sidebar, I had one of the best lemonatas on the planet 2 days ago. I went to Damascus, the restaurant.
I was going to say, wow.
No, I didn't go to Damascus. I went to the Purveyors on Atlantic Avenue, right next to Sahadi's. I'm not the biggest fan of Sahadi's, but I like Damascus better.
I hear that they've changed. I'm not a regular shopper over there, but I
Sahadi's is way different now. It's not as fun. It's not as I'm sorry, not. But anyways,
if anyone disagrees, call us and talk to us about it.
Damascus is phenomenal. They're the spinach pie. I'm a big fan of the pies and stuff like that, and the stuffed grape leaves. But they had the old school Sicilian limonata by O Sicilia Limonata, and I don't know if it was the can that was so amazing to look at, or if it's the beverage, or if it's the psychological, marketing branding thing. But I recommend finding the original Limonata by O Sicilia, and it's awesome.
Well, next time you're there, you got to bring a can in.
You know what? I went to go buy it. The $48 for 12 on Amazon.
Whoa. No, but what about next time you're at what's it called? Next time you're in, Damascus land.
Yeah, I know. But I think I'm gonna get them from Amazon. It's easier for me now.
All right.
With a kid, forget it.
48 for 12. That's $4 a crack. That's $4. I'm gonna say this again. That's $4 one can. Although, like, get this. You want the reverse? I'm in San Antonio, right? I was going there for Pernod Ricard. I was there with Jack Schramm. We were doing a talk on acid and bricks adjusting. So I go into what is purportedly the oldest bar in San Antonio, from like the hotels from the 1850s, the bars from 1880. They have all the original woodwork. It's been moved once inside the building, but it's all there. Walk in. And I just kind of wanted to chill. It had that old wood. They said it was based on a London pub, but it looked like a lot of the old, like, Labatt Balkan, like, mahogany bars from that era. And, I sit down and I'm like, I don't want to have too much. So we both get an Alamo lager because it was literally right next door to the Alamo. And we're drinking, we're talking about it. We have one. We're just like, can we get the check? She's like, that's $6.50.
It's so crazy.
We were all like, what?
Lord, yeah.
I literally said to her, what? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what else I saw there, Nastasia? So when my wife was working in Panama years ago, this has got to be like over 10, 12, this was like 12 years ago, she bought me my first, like, Guayabera four-pocket shirt. It was made by Panabrisas, which is the company in Panama that made it. It was a beautiful coral color. I love that shirt. It was my favorite shirt. And what happened to it, Nastasia?
Fell in the street puddle.
It fell on its own?
That's how I remember it.
Yeah. Okay. It fell in the street, ruined, like a hole ripped in it. They had the exact same shirt at, like, the oldest shirt shop in San Antonio. But I was like, I'm kind of on a buying freeze right now. And it was $180. I was like, for that, I could almost fly to Panama and get it, like, cheaper. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. Anyways, the other thing about San Antonio, I had for the first time their puffy taco. I don't really want to get into an argument over, like, is a puffy taco like 100% different from all of the other kind of puffy fried, like, tortilla things, but I'll say it's delicious. We went to what was it? I think Henry's Puffy Taco, which is one of the popularizers. Let's put it that way. One of the popularizers of the puffy taco. So if you've never had one of these puffy tacos, most of the recipes online seem like they suck based on what I ate when I was there. So I didn't kind of know what to expect, but they use an uncooked, relatively thick masa tortilla. Like, they press it out and then they fry it and it puffs up. And then as it's puffing up, they push it down so that it has a semi-taco shape. But the inside is still really soft, like really kind of, soft, like almost like arepa-y kind of texture. But the outside is crispy and it forms this like kind of outside double crisp layer that puffs up around this inner, like, medio arepa kind of a situation. Then with the filling in it, and their filling in here is also, we had a bunch of them, but good. Nice. And cheap.
Everything's so much more affordable as soon as you leave New York City. It's crazy.
Yeah. We went to another place. I forget the name of it, but it was something like the chef's name or something, Pork and Bread. And we had their like ahogado version things where they stand up the sandwich like it's a sinking Titanic, and then they pour the sauce all over it. It comes in baskets. Tortilla baskets, not the warming ones, the wickery ones. Yeah. And they put like a shower cap over it, and then they put the sandwich into the tortilla, into the shower cap in the thing, and then with sauce all over it. And then I was like, okay, yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, and we went to John's recommendation,
Mi Tierra.
Yeah, My Land.
Is it good?
Very good.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous because when you go in, it looks. It is somewhat of a touristy trap.
Yeah.
The servers are
super
dressed
kitschy,
up. And, yeah.
Is there the band going around too?
They didn't have a band because it was lunchtime.
Okay.
And, like all sort of like, crazy decorations everywhere.
Super kitschy.
But, oh my God, their green chili enchilada was like really acidic, which I appreciate. I appreciate a high acid green chili enchilada. It was delicious. And the last thing is it's a chain, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it. No, not that.
Okay.
The pan, whatever it is, aria, like pan the bread, edaria, whatever it is. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. But those rolls that I forget the name of? I'm going to see if anyone remembers the name of them, where they're like really puffy, like really light, almost kind of brioche kind of rolls with that crispy layer of sugar on top of them. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Like concha?
What?
Concha?
Maybe. But I never know the name of them because whenever I order them, I'm like, these suck. And I throw them away. I take one bite and I throw them away because they're always kind of stale. Yeah, those.
Yeah,
they're always kind of stale. I ate one from this place and I was like, oh my God, these are so good. How could I have gone for 52 years thinking that this was a trash can product and not understanding why anyone ever wanted to eat these, and why I thought they just made them because they were pretty. I thought they were like decorations, like popcorn strings at Christmas or something, that no one ever ate these things. And I ate like 2 or 3 of them. That was like, these are so good. Like the bread was so fresh and light, and the crispy coating was shattering. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, this is good. Did not require any sort of topping of any kind. Anyway, that's my San Antonio story.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you got, Quinn? You been cooking anything? You been cooking?
Oh, yeah. But before I get to what I've been cooking, you received the tamales packed in styrofoam. Did you receive anything else packed in styrofoam, Dave?
Did I receive anything? Now you're testing.
Benzals.
Oh.
Yes. Jesus.
Son of a gun.
The company that you started?
Oh my God. So like in San Antonio, someone raises their hand. I'm like, yes. They're like, when is my Spinzall getting here? I was like, oh. Well, I don't know what you guys were worried about. My Spinzall showed up last week. So the pilot unit, so for those of you, like a quick reminder on how this all works. Like you argue with a factory for years and years and years. You make a bunch of crappy prototypes. They then do what's called engineering build, and the engineering build is the last time they're really allowed to F up. And they did. They really effed up, which is why we're a month behind. They messed up the electronics, not the main guts. And but the pilot run is the one they do after the engineering run. And the pilot run is where they're supposed to say, we know what we're doing now. So the pilot run unit is supposed to come to you, and it's only minor tweaks from there on out. And the pilot unit showed up last week. had Dax, because he was still in town, take a video of me unboxing it. Completely not. I had no idea whether the thing was going to work or not. One take, in and out, worked great. So we're super excited and relieved. As far as we know, we look like we're good for production beginning this month. It's a 2-day production. So when I say beginning this month, I mean January 31st through February 2nd, and then a couple of days of freaking inspection, and then it's boat on the water, boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? It's like get that thing on the water.
Yeah,
get it out.
Exciting.
Get it off my shoulders. You know what I mean? Like all the three of us are like, you know what I mean? Now we can't wait for that crap to be done. Done. Anywho, was that what I was supposed to talk about, guys?
Yeah, I think.
No. Yeah. All right.
All right. So when I cooked, I made some pretty great pasta amatriciana with homemade guanciale. I went really wild with this batch of guanciale.
Uh-oh.
I used regular salt, obviously, a little cured salt number 2, little bit of MSG, just a really small amount, a little bit of savory nucleotides, so inosmate and guanylate, and then instead of small amounts of regular sugar, of course, dextrose, and Dave, take a wild guess. What's my favorite sugar?
Oh, God dang it. Lactose?
A little bit.
Why? For what reason, though?
Because it's paired with cheese.
Yeah, but why?
It's really good.
You know what I don't? You know what I don't drink when I'm eating cheese?
Well, there's still traces of lactose in cheese.
That's what I'm saying. Is like when I'm eating cheese, I don't drink milk. Why? I'm not saying it wasn't delicious. I'm sure it's delicious. I'm just questioning why lactose.
Is that like not eating chicken when you're eating chilaquiles?
Is that really a thing you're not supposed to do?
I don't know. I don't eat chicken and egg at the same time.
Really?
It's weird.
Wow.
Oh, there's lots of famous dishes where you pair chicken and egg.
Joe's just saying he doesn't do it.
I don't do it.
You don't do it. It's like, I won't do it.
It's not cheese with lactose. It's the meat. Infusing the meat with that.
I know, but you said that you put lactose in the guanciale because lactose pairs with cheese, which you're going to eat with the guanciale. Is that not what you said?
Yeah, because it sort of highlights the cheese.
But how does it highlight the cheese? How does it highlight the cheese? Milk doesn't highlight cheese.
But the sweetness.
But any sweetness.
Particular sweetness.
I don't know. No. Look, I'm not saying it's not really delicious. Good. I'm not saying it's not really good, but you know what I bet you would be just as good? Sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, people add dextrose because they don't want it to be sweet and they want it to ferment down. I get that, but lactose is less sweet even. Dextrose is easy to dose in because it's a powder. I get all that. But I don't know, man. You and your lactose. You're like, crap on you if you can't eat it. Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
It was really good.
And also, okay. You know what you need to do? You need to do a side by side.
Well, I was actually trying to, but then the other one got moldy. It was the only survivor.
What's wrong with mold? Couldn't scrape it up? Was the wrong mold?
It got bad. Yeah, no, it was not good mold.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not saying you should do everything traditionally, but I think, as I've said many times, anytime I used to talk to Giuliano Bugiali, like anytime someone was doing something like that and they put any sort of non-standard spice on, I was like, hey, what do you think? What do you think, Giuliano? What do you think? I don't like it.
I've made normal guanciale before. Okay. I've also had commercially produced guanciale.
I've had some really bad commercially produced guanciale that a lot of people really like. How do you like yours? Do you like yours dry as a bone so that it has nothing left to it, or do you like it wet, or do you like it somewhere in between?
I don't know the moisture level of the stuff I bought, but I mean, I'm targeting a 30% moisture loss. I was a little short 30? This time. Yeah.
That's pretty dry.
I mean,
it's drier than 25.
There's so much fat that, like,
okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not losing. My point is that you're not losing a lot of weight out of the fat. So if you're doing like a 30% off of the meat level in a guanciale, it's quite a bit of moisture going out of something that is primarily fat. So it's on the dry side is what I'm saying. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's on the dry side. Yeah, right.
What kind of pasta? Bucatini?
I
Pacchetti?
actually did ravitori.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Little radiators. Nastasia, what are your thoughts on the radiator shape? I like it actually.
I do too.
They're okay.
Yeah. What do you prefer? The radiators, or do you prefer the little the spirals?
Spirals.
Huh? Why? Better bounce?
Like the priest stranglers or the...
Oh, no, I love those. I don't even care what they're shaped like.
No, the rotinis, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the radiators are good sauce holders, but they're not so bouncy, you know what I mean?
They got a nice bite, though, in the middle.
The radiators?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what for pasta, for me, it's got to have a snap. Like farfalle in the middle, that when in that fold, the crease, that snap you get.
That's the money for you? Man. Yeah. Nastasia, what's your absolute, like, when you want to eat something, you get to choose the sauce. What's your favorite shape, or do you not have one because it depends on your mood?
The feeling.
Really? That's your fave? Nice. All right. Best name. What?
It's just the best go-to. I like bucatini a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good. What if you could inject some crap into the middle of that? It's Gilding Lily. It doesn't need it. It's stupid. Stupid. I take it back.
Like, what about putting...
related to my name?
Yeah.
Or you can put another piece of spaghetti inside the bucatini.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before. The insult in my family is that guy is a macaroni with no hole. Yeah. He's a macaroni with no hole. That's what they used to say about my crazy Uncle Larry. Macaroni with no hole. As opposed to, what's good is you're a tall drink of water, long drink of water. That's good.
But macaroni is always, I mean, like, is macaroni always an elbow?
No, but it was just a saying they had. I don't know. I don't know why they called it. I don't know.
Well, the macaroni used to be the term for like all dry pasta, right?
All dry pasta.
Yeah, all I'm saying is in Boston, the term that is, this idiot is a macaroni with no hole, which is a nicer way of saying struns. You know what I mean? Anyway.
I always wanted one of that poster that I always see in the Italian markets with all the pasta numbers and shapes. Always enamored me.
Nastasia has that book that's like the math of pasta or something. It's all numbers and pictures and like technical drawings, right, Stas? Don't you have that book?
I think Mark has it.
I can get that back. He doesn't care about that stuff, does he? You care about that stuff.
I don't know.
All right. All right. So John, should we eat these chocolates before?
Let's eat these chocolates.
All right. What are they? What are they, Belgian man?
So these are from Neuhaus, which is...
I know those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, not personally.
Yeah. It's a chocolate shop that was started in 1857. It's in the Grande Galerie. If I've sent you guys, listeners, the food recommendation map thing, it's on that list. It's really great. So he started out as a pharmacist, tried to be a doctor, but failed at that, so opened up a pharmacy. Did the chocolates too and used chocolate to cover the medicine, so everyone loved it. And then in 1912, their claim to fame is having invented the praline. So instead of yes.
First of all, that's the worst word in the world because it means a billion things to a billion people.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say that to someone down south and they're like, "What?"
Yeah. Completely different. Yeah.
Praline.
But whatever.
What's that? It's not praline. What's their definition of what they invented?
So I think instead of, let's see, what do they say on their website?
You translate it from the French.
To delight his customers in the apothecary, Jean Neuhaus first thought about covering medicines with the finest chocolate. In 1912, his grandson evolved this idea into the Belgian praline, as we know it today, chocolate filled with delight instead of medicine.
Oh, God damn.
That's a terrible...
Listen, this is the worst fluffery in the world. And first of all, like, why would you put fine chocolate around medicine? Just anything to make it go down. You know who the best at that is? Advil. They put like sugar on the outside of those things. We used to call those office candy.
The brown Advil, the best ones.
Yeah. Because I used to have to work in an office, and the minute I walked in, I had a headache. I'm like, oh my God, get me out. And I was like, get me some office candy stat, and then we get the Advils, and I still have good feelings about them Advils. So I graduated from the remember the chewables, St. Joe's.
Oh yeah, the pink one.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to give it to your child now, like when they're infants.
Yeah, but
Weird.
You're like your no teeth gums.
yeah. The other thing that I used to pound. Remember when vitamin C tablets were a huge thing, and they had those like sticks of vitamin C tablets, like Smarties? Yeah. I'd be like, pow, 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 pow. Yeah, I would eat the hell out of those things. Yeah. Anyway.
I was like that with Tums.
Oh, really? That'll mess you up though. You have too many Tums.
Hurt me.
All right, so we're pralinaying out here.
That's the praline.
Wait, did this one's filled with happiness, or this one's filled with medicine?
Happiness. Hazelnuts.
Another
little things.
Thank you.
It's got a weird, like, candied kind of shell to it.
You talk while I taste.
Like a hazelnut kind of cream filling, but yeah, there's like a little stickiness to it. It's tasty. It's not like my favorite of their chocolates. This is probably that. It's got Maison d'Andois speculoos inside.
Oh, well, that's...
Exactly. You know it's going to be a game winner.
First of all, Trader Joe's. What? No offense to them, but they sell that. They sell this. How do you pronounce it? How do they actually speculoos? How do they pronounce it?
Speculoos.
Yeah. Okay, they're fine. But when you go to the actual like place, pronounce the
D'Andois.
Yep.
Maison d'Andois.
Yeah. You go there, and they have like 4 foot tall ones that you can buy, and they have all the molds around. And it's like, imagine, it's like what Nastasia always says, like, you know, someone's like, oh, I want to make that. And you're like, okay, that's great. Making it once. And then you go to this place, and this is what they do. Like when they wake up in the morning, and they don't seem like they're jokers, right? You know how, like, sometimes people show up and, like, you know, their job is whatever, and so they just do their job so they can get out. I think these people are literally, like, thinking about these products as they're making them. You know what I mean? It's a huge money place. And their actual... like their their waffle, the stand in the street, ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous. Good. That's the first time I realized that I was a complete idiot. And then I had to get a hold of a real waffle iron, and then I knew nothing. It was like, you know, a know-nothing moment. And what they had running from their commissary on a constant basis, people with buckets of, you know, of the Brussels mix, because that's a batter, and just tubs full of the Liège stuff rising, because they could not make that stuff fast enough.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, I'm gonna try this.
No,
all right, John, you talk about. So what's this? What's the orange bullet?
It's the one filled with the speculoos.
I mean, you talk while I eat, so I don't get death threats.
Yeah, no, it's got it's like a pyramid shaped chocolate. It's got a orange cap, which is a little strange, but
that's good.
It's it's tasty. Praline with speculoos. Yeah, can't go wrong.
That's crazy Belgians.
Yeah, but they're really good chocolates. They, I think, still provide the chocolates to the Belgian monarchy there. So it's like, I imagine their palace being filled with like little trays of these chocolates around.
I think of the Belgian monarchy as being filled with trays of sadness.
Yes, that too. Especially if you go way back. Yes, not even that far back. Yeah, exactly. Not that far back, but yeah,
like my parents' lifetime.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. My grandparents' lifetime too. Yeah.
So what is speculoos? Because
it's a cookie, like a spiced cookie that gets ground down into like a peanut buttery kind of paste.
Not like the gynecological tool speculum or anything.
No.
Oh, wow. Dark place. Okay. Well, thank you. How did you come upon these right now?
I got some as a Christmas present for one of my prep guys.
Oh, nice.
So I got some for us too, because I figured, why not? They're delicious.
Yeah, they have an outpost near Grand Central, I think.
Yeah, that's where I got them.
Yeah, nice. And have had for years.
Yes.
But I always used to walk past it. So, like, one of Jen's studio mates in architecture school was she was huge on that. She's Parisian, though. You know what I mean? So she was always like, go there. And I'm like, where are you getting this money from? You're an architecture student. What the hell's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not afraid of charging.
No. I think 9 chocolates was $30 basically.
Oh, kill me. All right. Wait. So Quinn, back to your guanciale. I'm thinking about it. The only one that didn't get mold was did you have the same amount of all those products on it or no?
No, slightly different.
You know what, man? One variable at a time, my man. One variable at a time, sweet Jesus.
I have to send you an interesting video describing multivariable comparative studies.
Okay, you can, but you know what's easy to do? One variable at a time. Unless the variables are completely completely separable, right? If the variables are completely separable, then, test two at once. Like color of the car and the engine of the car.
Oh, yeah, but
fine.
I'm also like making 2 at a time at most, and it takes like 6 to 9 months. So, yeah.
Well,
I gotta pick up the pace a little.
Yeah, okay, but listen, if you're making 2, then 1 variable. You can maybe do more variables if you had 3. You know what I mean? How you gonna do it? Wait. Anyway, whatever. But like, for instance, like, what's the advantage? I know every beef jerky maker adds umami agents to their stuff, but did you side by side that as well with it?
Well, again, yeah, that was part of the original test, but then again, the other one went moldy. But again, I've made guanciale previously. Again, it's more of an iterative process than directly comparing side by side.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, eventually you need to do a direct comparison just because, you're always wrong. I had this discussion just yesterday when I was doing this talk. It's like, you fool yourself and you can't, no one is good enough to know today versus 3-4 days ago, much less 3-4 months ago, whether this one's better than that one. Nobody. You know what I mean? You have to taste them side by side, to really know. It's because like I've had that happen to me constantly
in the fridge.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Same thing.
That's not the same. Not the same. Anyway, okay. Dr. Smokehouse wrote in. 2 questions came to mind on your brief duck confit discussion with Chris Young. 1. Do you think the salting method matters much, i.e. Salting it overnight randomly or equilibrium salt for a length of time? Well, I think it does matter. But I don't know anyone that does equilibrium salting on confit because who's got the freaking time? So I think you just salt
I
that.
do.
No. All right. Well, this is why you can't do side-by-side tests, Quinn, because you do things that take a billion years. It's like everyone who makes it in a restaurant, they salt it.
Equilibrium cure on a duck takes like 2 or 3 days.
I'm saying that's a lot. That's a lot.
A lot of time and a lot of space.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
Like in the walk-in, that's, I don't know, for me, like in my experience at least, it's very limited, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So most people want to do like 24 hours, right? And so frankly, like if you do excess salt on the outside, you might get a little change plus or minus, but during the cook, it will equilibrate quite a bit into the meat. And Greg Blonder, regardless of what you think of his other thoughts on cooking techniques in his Genuine Ideas is his blog. He's done a lot of tests showing that the salt penetration rate is extremely high at cooking temperatures. So if you're going to cook something for quite a long time, you're more likely to get a better equilibrated salt level than you would, let's say, letting it sit in the fridge. Quinn, did you do a side by side on equilibrium salting versus just salting overnight?
I do everything that I'm going to specifically salt equilibrium.
The only thing I do equilibrium is salmon. Because, it's 2-3 days and it needs to cure for 2 or 3 days anyway. You can't do a 1-day cure on a salmon and have it be sliceable. You need to do like a 3-day cure to have it really be sliceable and then dry out. So I do equilibrium because you want it to be accurate all the time. With duck, I don't, not overnight. But you could do equilibrium cure, but I don't know the percentages off the top of my head. I know that modern confit, and when I say that, I mean like confit from the 90s forward, really changed a lot from traditional. So if you go to like an old school bistro in France and you get the confit, it's very different from the confit you would get at like a mid to high tier New York restaurant in like the early 2000s. And by that, I mean the salt level's a lot lower. And a lot of traditionalists really decried the decrease in salt in the confit over time. Part of it was, and I would talk to chefs about it, and part of it was, like John says, I want to get that thing out faster, and also part of it is people's taste ran to lower salt items than they had prior, and people didn't really care about the traditional technique of, you can remember confit is originally like a siege thing. It's like, you take a preservation thing. You're taking your duck and you're preserving it for a long time. So you needed a good salt amount to prevent botulism and whatnot from growing in it. It was typically herbed with other things that were also bacteriostatic or bactericidal, right? So the herbs were a necessary component as well. And in the modern times, all that kind of stuff dropped off. So I think most people now salt just for their taste because they're also not curing it. That's one thing I really miss. If you've never had a truly aged confit, you're missing out. Like the confit that you made yesterday is fine, right? That the confit you made months and months ago, that's fine. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? John, you with me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's...
And like, you can taste it.
Yeah.
And because there's a little more, breakdown of the stuff. But the stuff that you're going to keep for a long time, better get your salt levels right, i.e. traditional.
Yeah.
Anyway. And 2, do I have a preferred cooking method? Oven, stovetop, sous vide. So we did extensive testing on different kinds of vacuum bagged confit back in the day. And the tremendous advantage of vacuum bagged confit is that you don't need a lot of fat to do it. And that's a huge advantage. So that's what we used to do all the time. We've done low temperature sous vide and traditional sous vide. I do not like low temperature confit very much. It's fine. It's not a bad product. But if you were to hand me low temperature confit and high temperature confit, both in a bag, I would choose the high temperature, i.e. traditional, like 85 C, something like this, Celsius, every single time. Now, is this because I grew up eating confit? And would someone who, if I somehow like flew someone in from Mars and like they had never heard of or had confit before and I served them, a low temp confit and the traditional, that maybe they would prefer the low temp one? I don't know. But I didn't fly in from Mars and I grew up eating confit, so I prefer the other one. And maybe that makes me a dinosaur. I don't know. Have you ever had a low temp confit?
No, I haven't.
It's fine. But confit is confit.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go low temp sous vide. The problem with the bag is there's no evaporation. So if you are working with confit in a bag, you'll notice you get a weird jelly along with the fat that renders out of the bird when it's working. And it probably makes it, if you're going to age it for a long time, different. And it also changes the way it kind of crisps up when you fry it because there's more moisture on the inside of it. So it's a little bit different. I think the skin's a little bit different. And it's the same problem. I think that's roughly the same as doing it in a combi oven. Unless you could figure out, which this is what somebody should do. Somebody should help me out, right? Here's what you need to do. And I don't have the time to do it, so I won't. But do a traditional confit. Weigh your products before and after, and see how much water is getting evaporated out of X number of legs at X weight. Weigh them before. Weigh the whole thing after. Figure out how much is evaporating, and then you could tune a combi oven to the correct steam level to get that exact moisture loss, but you'd probably have to get the loads right each time. And if you did that, I'm assuming you'd be able to make a pretty bang-on confit. Because that's the issue, I think, with non-traditional ways of doing it, is it's hard to get the evaporation as well as the other things right at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But anyway.
One time I did, I can't remember. I think I did, maybe it was a lower temperature, but you could do a higher temperature. I did a bath-in-bath confit with the sous vide. So I had like a tray filled with oil with the product inside, and that was nested inside the water bath. And there was only about a 2-degree difference between the water and the fat.
Why?
Maybe because I wanted lower temperature,
but
and I didn't have any sort of precision like stovetop.
Anytime you're at the lower temperature, anytime you're covered with oil and you're below the boiling point of water, you get very little evaporation because you're under oil. So there's not a lot of vapor pressure. Not a lot of stuff is leaving. So I would bet, and this is why when somebody is, if you were going to make like, some Italian families, when they're making their sopressata, when they're making their supersad, right? They let it cure for a certain amount of time till it's as dry as they want, and then they put it in oil, right? Or country ham makers, they get the country ham exactly the way they want it, and then they slather the face of the ham with fat, hard fat, to prevent evaporation, right? So if you're going low temp under oil, you're going to get very little evaporation. So I'm assuming you're going to get a wetter product than you would otherwise. And so what I'm saying is that when I make confit, I usually do it in the bag because I'm lazy and it's extremely easy to throw my bags in the fridge and then cut them open when I need them. And I'm not aging them for a long time. But I think that someone who does it the old way is probably going to make a better product than I do. That's my guess. I don't know. I mean, confit delicious. But I think you could make it just as good if you were to measure the stuff I was talking about. Tony writes in. This is a home kitchen question. In fact, an on-a-budget home kitchen question. Tony, I know where this is going. I've read it, so I literally know where it's going. But I'm very nervous telling you to do things that are... Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do really dangerous things. Okay, so this is a home kitchen question, on-budget home kitchen question. I'm using a 3-year-old freestanding gas Samsung range from Home Depot. I'm sorry for you, Tony Tone. Is it possible to... That's probably fine. Samsung makes decent products. They make good products. I don't know your stove, so I don't know. But I'm just imagining if it's freestanding. Here's what I don't like about... when you're buying a stove like that and it's freestanding, it sounds like you're on a budget. Maybe it's not your house. Is when the stove isn't installed properly and it moves around. So when you're cooking on your stove and your stove makes any movement at all, it just drives me bonkers, nuts. You know what I mean? As much as when I sit down at a table and it doesn't have wobble wedges and the table's moving around and I want to lose my freaking mind. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I hope that's not happening. I hope you have a very steady stove. But a lot of those ones you get, they're so lightweight. They're going to move around. My stove weighs like what a truck weighs. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, is it possible to coordinate the oven controls so that what they say is what I get? Yes and no. Currently, I want, say, 225 Fahrenheit. I have the oven set at 250, and only by judging time it takes to get things done. You're only judging by the time it takes to get things done. I guess if I had a way of testing the oven temp that I trusted, I would settle for that and not go through the hassle of coordinating the electronic settings with the actual temperatures. Unfortunately, the grocery store oven thermometer I picked up, no. Seems way off. Says like it's 150 degrees when the oven is set at 250. Using my construction quality infrared thermometer also seems unreliable. Yeah, it is, because what are you pointing at, right? I'm only asking what's reliable and affordable. A third-party oven thermometer. I have a Thermapen. No. Listen, so what's really cheap is thermocouples, right? So what you want to do is go get thermocouple, bead thermocouples with fiberglass insulation that are rated above 400, 500. I would do 500. They do 600 degrees Fahrenheit, right? It's going to get a little toasty, but it's not going to be too bad. Turn the oven off. Every gas oven has holes in it, right, for ventilation. And so if you take off if you get into it, you can feed a thermocouple up into the body of the oven without having them so that you're shutting the door on the thermocouple wire. And you can have the thermocouple come out through the bottom because it can take all the temperatures. And they are cheap, on the order of like $5 a piece maybe for a bead thermocouple that can take all this. Don't get the ones with PVC on them. And then on eBay or on Amazon, you can get really cheap thermocouple thermometers, and you can actually measure in like various places in your oven what the temperature actually is. I can't see like professional. I know how to adjust a professional thermostat in an oven. You rip the knob off, you set it at a temperature, and there's an internal screw on the inside of the knob. Like most of them use like Robert Shaw or similar thermostats, and you pull off the knob, and there's an inner screw on the inside of the thing that lets you turn so that you set a temperature, then you get your thermometer and you measure it, and then you rotate the screw up or down to set the thermostat. But I don't know how home ovens work. If it's an electronic, most of these things have a calibration screw on them somewhere. So like a professional oven, you calibrate both the height of the pilot and you can't do that at home ovens. Now are all click, 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 ignitions. But usually there's some sort of calibration thing. So you figure out who made the control for it and figure out how to calibrate it, get some thermocouples in there. And you could probably do this whole thing for, if you're willing to wait and find like a used thermometer under $150, and then you can use that on any sort of testing you want to do later, all those thermocouples, and you can reuse them. And just please don't burn yourself or burn your house down. And thank God you didn't ask me to tell you how to put a solenoid valve in line with your gas unit and control the oven any way you want, hot rod it up to 900 degrees, because I definitely would not tell you how to do that. Jameson wrote in and would appreciate thoughts on mapping and calibration of ovens and whether, I guess it's probably for Chris, but whether we worry about it or just work around it like everyone else. It's very instructive to map your oven at least once to see where all the real hot spots and cold spots are and how they work. So typically what I did is I would get this one. I didn't build it into my oven, but I've mapped my Breville. I've mapped my APO. Is you take 3 different thermocouples at 3 heights, and you just make a little wire kind of rig to hold them, and then you put them at front to back. You can really map out and see where all like the crazy cold spots are. And then once you know, then you kind of know what to do, and you stop worrying about it. So you don't need to map it all the time. You know what I mean? You can either be like, oh, this is fine, or like, oh, I'm so effed that I'm not going to worry about it anymore, which is kind of what I end up doing. Lionel Hutz writes in, question for me, whomever might have insight. I've been having trouble with my dough rise. This is a complicated question. So if we have any real dough people out here, and Lionel, I feel like I need more information from you. All right. I've been having trouble with my dough rising after mixing with a pretty active sourdough starter. I'm going to start from the back. So what Lionel says in the thing is that their dough usually doubles, right? Their dough usually doubles in a similar time span to their starter, which they're saying their starter doubles every 4 to 5 hours. So they're usually, after they make their bulk, they do their bulk fermentation, they get a doubling time in 4 to 5 hours, right? And now it's taking like 8 to 10 hours, so about twice the time. And they say that they're adding the same amount of sourdough starter to each. They're adding 5%, which seems low, right? I think, more like 10 might be, and that could help you out. But what I don't know, what you didn't tell me, Lionel, and you're proofing at 80. Well, you didn't, and you're using an Encarcerum, which I appreciate. Everyone knows I like the Encarcerum mixer, but Swedish helper, baby, the kitchen assistant, Encarcerum. But what you didn't say, you said what you're doing now, but you didn't say what you used to do that made it work, right? So something changed between the way you used to do it when it used to double and now. And so I can't go line by line and figure out where are the changes and what could have happened, right? So
I think there was some follow-up discussion in the Discord.
Okay,
that was too big to include.
Well,
but nothing.
The Word document would have crapped out on me.
Well, there was
but anyway, so nothing. If nothing changed, then nothing changed. Then I can't troubleshoot. If it used to work,
people are suggesting it somehow might be the season.
What? He proofs it in an oven at 80 degrees, temperature controlled. He's getting dough out of the Encarcerum at 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's the season. I really don't. You know what I mean? It's using 25% rye, which is going to act pretty much like wheat flour at that dosage. I mean, it's high for, pretending to be wheat, but it's still going to act, primarily as a wheat dough at that point. I don't know what's different. Is the mixer different? Is he switching to a different mixer? Is a different flour? I mean, the easiest thing to do is to just up the sourdough because it's on the very low end, right? Like up at the 10.
Yeah.
Because anytime you up the leavener, when you're talking about doubling times, right? So if you're talking about doubling times, if you double the amount of stuff that's in, that's one doubling you don't have to do. And that all of a sudden, bingity, bingity, boongity, it takes you from 10 hours to 5. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I mean, I would need, so were there any differences? to hone in on? It's always the difference that makes the difference. If I can be honest.
The mystery was that something changed that he was not aware of.
The other thing is the starter could change. Just because one starter worked a certain way, it's not the same. It's not the same group of microbes that it was before. And something that rises like a mother in 100% hydration situation when you're feeding it constantly, right, is not necessarily going to rise at the same rate, in a bread system. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't have the hydration of the dough as far as I can tell here. Anyway, look for your point of difference. And your point of difference, if you can find no point of difference, then your starter is probably the difference. But I guarantee you somewhere there is a point of difference. Find it. You know what I mean? That's always what you need to do. And this is why, Quinn, one variable at a time, baby. Because you need to find the point of difference. Anyway, let me know. Let me know what the Discord finds. Tyler H., question that can probably be answered. I think it was maybe talked about at the show at some point. How do I make a sauce using low-temperature bag juices? That just sounds wrong. How do I make a bag juice sauce? Like, Nastasi, if you went to a restaurant and someone was like, yo, we have a bag juice sauce, what would you say?
No, thank you.
Yeah, right? No thanks. I told you guys, like someone once said, it's served in a room temperature sauce. And I was like, nah, no thanks. No thanks. I mean, words carry feelings,
Yeah.
Room temperature sauce means you made it one way and now it's at the temperature of the room. I have not controlled it. I care little for you. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's not what they meant by it, but,
That's what's implied.
It's what's implied.
Yeah.
Is there any good way to say something's going to be room temperature? That's not assumed to be room temperature, right? So like when a charcuterie plate shows up and that sucker is cold, I'm like, oh, damn. Yeah. Why'd you hurt my meat? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've noticed people serving cheeses colder, and it makes me mad.
Good. Tempered.
Ooh.
The sauce is tempered.
Tempered? I like it.
Sounds a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, has other meanings, but I like it. I feel it's getting close. Tempered temperature. All right. How do I make a sauce using low temp bag juices without turning it into coagulated gray grossness? Most recent fail was from a 24-hour, 135-degree a beef roast. Yeah, man. That's gross looking. So here's what happens, people. As I'm sure you all know, different proteins coagulate at different temperatures. And when you're doing low temperature cooking, there are always proteins in the liquid that leaches out of the meat. So as the fibers contract, right, they squeeze liquid out, and also the proteins have less water holding capacity. The muscle fibers have less water holding capacity, so moisture goes out. We all know this. In that stuff that leaches out are proteins that have not yet been denatured. So you can take a sauce or like a bag liquid that looks good out of the bag, and as soon as you heat it up near the boil, scum, and it looks gross, like real bad, like nasty. So how to do this? Well, the way we always used to recommend working, and I don't know whether you're doing this professionally or at home. Professionally, if you really want to do it, is you fix yesterday's sauce for today, and you use today's sauce for tomorrow, because you can heat it and you can skim that crap off and then use the flavors that are in it as the base reduction for another sauce. But as those proteins coagulated with it, unfortunately, they're also stripping some flavor out in the same way that doing a consommé would strip the flavors out. But you need to get rid of all that coagulant. If you're doing it at home, it's hard because when you get the bag sauces out, usually you're ready to eat it now and you want to do an a la minute sauce. And for that, you're kind of up the creek unless you use extremely reduced things going into it. So if let's say you're going to do like a red wine Megillah, if you extraordinarily reduce the stuff that goes into the bag beforehand and you don't have as much juices, get this. Let's say you were to make like some sort of like a sauce, like a Béarnaise, Hollandaise sauce. Then you could, at the low temperature without bringing it up, on the service out, at service temperature, just whisk some of those juices in and get some of that flavor. Does that help out, John? As long as there's not too much?
Yeah.
Bernice. Radar, looking for ideas on French onion soup. I've done lots and lots, but I haven't had Bliss. I've tried pressure cooker versions. Nope. With and without Kenji's baking soda edition. Nah, makes it mushy, and also I don't like baking soda. No, makes it brown. Steam ovens, baking the onions, various chicken, mushrooms, dashi-based stocks. I prefer to avoid dark beefy stocks. My favorite French onion soup is actually made with veal stock. All right, here's my idea on French onion soup. Cut up an unconscionable amount of onions. Put them into a pan, and then let them go at a very, 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 very low heat for a very long time. Then make whatever the richest stock that you like is. Add it to said onions. Then get you a nice piece of bread. Get you some good cheese. What do you use on your French? Gruyere?
Yeah, Gruyere.
Yeah. And then melt it. Like, put the bread, grate the stuff up, put it on top, melt it over the thing, and then you eat the hell out of it.
I'd also say a little sherry vinegar.
Oh, yeah. I like sherry, straight sherry. Too.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Yeah. Straight sherry, yeah. But a little bit.
Yeah.
But the key here is that you can't shortcut the onions. You can't shortcut the onions. That's what you're doing here.
Time.
Shortcutting the onions is a large mistake, especially in the pressure cooker. It's not going to work. And Joff, I don't have any new recommendations on sharpening stones other than DMT. But if anyone in the Discord has a sharpening stone that they like better than the DMT, the big one, don't say that you don't like the small one, because nobody likes the small one. Nobody likes to sharpen their knives on a tiny little stone. This isn't like Boy Scouts in the 1890s. Like, get a real size stone if you're using a real size chef's knife. But the DMT is expensive, so if anyone has recommendations that supersede my old ones, let me know. Cooking Issues.